Okay, so I want to talk about reframing. I don't know how to put it into words actually. And I just caught a glimpse of myself on this treadmill, sweating, and realised how terrible I look from this angle. But this is holding up here is not comfortable or possible, and also a bit cringe. As people can see, I'm recording myself. But anyways, I don't know what snappy title to call this, but I want to share my story of indulging in bad habits. So for this one, I'm going to talk about food. Now, some people call it emotional eating, I call it entertainment eating, and that's something I've been doing since I was like literally a toddler. One of my earliest memories is eating like straight out of a 3-litre tub of Neapolitan ice cream while watching TV. I have other memories of eating baby formula and Milo, which is a chocolate powder, directly from the tin, unsupervised. Which on one hand may attribute to my incredible muscle mass, but has definitely contributed to my high level of body fat. So throughout life, food was always how I regulated myself and how I experienced joy and pleasure. And as I grew older and had more freedom, those habits also became increasingly dangerous. Even before I had my license, I would ride my bike or walk to McDonald's on at least a weekly basis. I would go to McDonald's and other such restaurants before and after school. Now, there's other things I could talk about, like when I was able to kind of turn this around late in high school and when I finally clocked onto that awareness. But it's kind of funny to be talking about that at 28 years old, not in a position I want to be in. So maybe I'll wait for that. So we're going to talk about how I've reframed these things, because I think my habits have definitely improved, but that nagging little voice never really goes away. And that could be fast food, it could be alcohol, it could be cigarettes, it could be pornography, basically any activity that overstimulates our reward system. So talking about food, it just came about with little changes. I think the first thing I did, I was about 22, 23, was I just phased out soft drink. I used to drink Coke a lot, and I switched to Diet Coke and Coke Zero. Then, I don't know, I just stopped drinking it. I opted for soda water, and I just thought about the sugar and the chemicals and the calories. And I guess at some point you just have to weigh up whether the enjoyment you get from it is worth the cost. And for me it wasn't. Mentally it wasn't, but it did take my taste buds a little bit of time to adjust. Not as much time as you would think. It took probably a week, 2 weeks of not drinking soft drink for me to adjust. and I found alternatives. One of those was kombucha, which is a natural sugar-free drink that has a lot of the things you look for. The other one was just soda water and lemon. So the same principle can apply to other things. Let's say it's ice cream, and that's your big indulgence, which a very good friend of mine has, and I have too, to some degree. The thing you need to do is figure out what it is you actually enjoy about the experience. So for me, the soft drink, it was the coldness, the temperature, and the acidity, that feeling of almost a palate cleanse in between food. So I found things that had the same effect with no negatives. If it's ice cream, for me with ice cream, it's obviously the temperature, the perceived sweetness, and the creaminess. So an alternative I have now, if I'm being well behaved, is frozen bananas, covered in chocolate. It ticks the boxes in my brain, has a whole lot more fiber and nutrients, and less calories. The other thing I've started doing, and this is my top secret little hack that I'm sure thousands of other people are already doing, is adding protein powder to Greek yogurt. You get the sweetness and the flavour without the sugar and the calories. It thickens it up to an almost soft serve consistency. And you know, I've used that for some like healthy high protein cheesecake recipes, or I'll just have that with frozen fruit as a dessert. So yeah, what would be really interesting would be to know what your top 3 vices are in the comments, and how you're going to leverage them to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. If you want to break that down to a step-by-step process, identify the vice, determine a better alternative, and then leverage it. You know, and I guess the idea would be you opt for the safe alternative when there's, I guess, not a lot of time or not a lot of willpower to avoid it. If you absolutely want to indulge in whatever it is, you make it worthwhile. Run a marathon before you eat that pint of ice cream. Record that musical idea before you rot in bed and watch a TV show. Go for a run or go to the gym before you play Call of Duty with your cousin, which is me. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that idea. Let me know what you thought of it. If it resonates with you, stick around, and if not, that's okay.